Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Unique Bio Classes based on NCERT syllabus for PUC first and second year. If you like my channel, please subscribe, like and share and hit the bell icon so that you can get notifications as soon as videos are getting uploaded. Okay, so in today's class we shall discuss about menstrual cycle. In a previous class we have discussed about oogenesis. Now we shall continue with that, and we have menstrual cycle. This is on page number 49 in your NCERT textbook. Okay, so menstrual cycle, it is a reproductive cycle which is found in the female primates. Now primate means what? Primate is a name of a order which belongs to a mammal. Okay, which comes under a family mammal, which is having an order called as primates. This primates is having suborder like simian and prosimian. Okay, now these primates, they are including simian and prosimian. Simian includes ape, whereas prosimian includes nocturnal animals. Anyhow, primates like monkeys, apes and human beings is called as menstrual cycle. About menstrual cycle we shall discuss in detail here in my note which I have prepared here. Okay, menstrual cycle. Menstrual cycle is a series of rhythmical changes. Okay, there is a series of rhythmical changes that takes place in female reproductive system. Now in the female reproductive system you can find that there are some of the changes taking place. Those changes are taking place in the reproductive system from puberty, that is from maturity to menopause. Menopause is that when that menstrual cycle will get stopped in a woman's life. So for that we call it as menopause. Anyway, its definition also I shall discuss later. A female reproductive system from puberty to menopause in women is called as menstrual cycle. Either you can write this or you can write from your textbook as you have here. Okay, in human females, menstruation is repeated at an average interval of about 28 to 29 days. The cycle of events starting from one menstruation till the next one is called as menstrual cycle. You can write either this as a menstrual cycle or this first line as a menstrual cycle, or you can write this definition which I gave here. All are one and the same. Okay, now here menarche, we are having one term used in the menstrual cycle is menarche. Menarche is what? The first menstruation begins at puberty. The first menstruation when it starts at maturity. When a girl is getting mature at the first time, what menstrual flow takes place? For that we call it as menarche. Okay. Now, here we have events of menstrual cycle. Events of menstrual cycle we include 4 events. First one is menstrual phase. Second one is follicular phase. Third one is ovulatory phase. Fourth one is post-ovulatory phase or luteal phase. I shall discuss about each one in detail just now. Okay, we shall start with the menstrual phase, right? In menstrual phase, shedding of uterine endometrium. Okay, in menstrual phase what happens? There is a shedding of uterine endometrium. If you remember the female reproductive system, which we have shown something like this. Okay, female reproductive system, it was like this with the fallopian tubes and the fimbriae here like this, and here we have shown it as vagina. Okay, I'm just showing the rough diagram. Here we have shown the uterine wall. Is it? 3 layers of uterine wall is present. One is endometrium, another one is perimetrium, one more is myometrium in between. So the innermost is the endometrium. This endometrium is made up of tissue. Okay, it is made up of tissue and also it consists of some blood vessels. Now here during menstrual flow or menstrual phase, this endometrium will shut down, it will break down, and as this endometrium will break down, whatever content is present in the endometrium, that will be released out through the vagina. Okay, that will be released out through vagina. What is endometrium is made up of? It is made up of tissue, it is made up of blood vessels. So this tissue and the blood vessels will be released out through vagina when in a menstrual phase. And menstrual phase, when it takes place, it lasts for 3 to 5 days, which means first 3 to 5 days of menstrual cycle there is a menstrual flow. Okay. Discharge of blood, tissue fluid, mucus and epithelial cells, because in that endometrium lining whatever is present that will be released out. Discharge of blood takes place, tissue fluid, mucus and epithelial cells takes place in the menstrual phase, which means menstrual phase takes place in menstrual cycle from 1 to 5 days. Okay, 1 to 5 days, first 2 to 5 days of menstrual flow, there will be a flow of this menstruation. Okay. Next, second one we have follicular phase. which is also called as proliferative phase, or which is also called as pre-ovulatory phase. The name itself shows pre-ovulatory means before ovulation. Okay, in this phase what happens? There is a regeneration and thickening of endometrium. What endometrium? It has been broken down here and released out. Now that endometrium will start to regenerate. It will build itself. Okay, regeneration and thickening of endometrium takes place in the second phase called as follicular phase. It is going to last for 6 to 13th day. Okay, which means it is going to takes place on from menstrual. I am talking about the dates of menstruation, not of the calendar events. Okay, it lasts for 6 to 13th day. Primary follicles in the ovary grows. Okay, now primary follicles which are present in the ovary, those will start to grow and become a fully mature Graafian follicle. About this we have discussed in our oogenesis. There we have said primary follicle is getting converted to secondary to tertiary to mature Graafian follicle. Now those events takes place when in the second phase called as follicular phase, from 6th to 13th day of a menstrual cycle, right? Okay, the secretion of gonadotrophin increases. In this phase, in the second phase, gonadotrophin's hormones will be secreted. Okay, their secretion has been increased. Which are those gonadotrophins? LH and FSH. As you know, LH is luteinizing hormone and FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. Now these two hormones are coming under gonadotrophins, which will be secreted in a large amount in the follicular phase. This stimulates follicular development. Because of these hormones, follicular development takes place. Which follicular development? Primary to mature Graafian follicle development takes place because of this LH and FSH. Okay, and secretion of estrogens by growing follicles. Now this primary follicles to mature Graafian follicles is taken because of secretion of LH and FSH, right? Now what happens here? These follicles, as they are growing, they are going to secrete one more hormone called as estrogens. LH and FSH, they are making to convert primary into gonadotrophins, primary follicle into Graafian follicle. Now these follicles, as they are getting converted or as they are getting transformed, those follicles will secrete a hormone called as estrogen. Okay, now this is the follicular phase, the events which takes place here. Why we call it as proliferative phase means there is a regeneration, because there is a regeneration or the formation of new layer of endometrium, so it is called as proliferative phase. Okay, and follicular phase because there is a development of follicles, primary to Graafian follicle. Hope you understood the second phase. Now third phase we have here is ovulatory phase. Okay, third one is ovulatory phase. Now in this ovulatory phase there is a release of ovum from mature Graafian follicle. As we said about ovulation, the process of release of ovum from mature Graafian follicle, we called it as ovulation. So that takes place in an ovulatory phase. On which day? On 14th day of menstrual cycle. As we said here, 6th to 13th day is the follicular phase. Now 14th day will be ovulatory phase. Ovulatory phase takes place, which means release of ova takes place on the 14th day of the menstrual cycle. Why on the 14th day? Because both FSH and LH will attain a peak level, which means their secretion is at a high level, because of which that ova which is present in the Graafian follicle will be released out from the ovary. LH surge induces ovulation. On 14th day, LH level will be more, it will be increased. Because of increase in the LH production, LH secretion, so that's why there is ovulation takes place on 14th day. We can get a question. Why ovulation takes place on 14th day of menstrual cycle? Because of the LH surge or increase in the secretion of LH, luteinizing hormone, because luteinizing hormone is secreted in large amount on 14th day of menstrual cycle. So you can get on which day that ovulation takes place on 14th day. Name the hormone responsible for ovulation, LH. Okay, so this is coming under ovulatory phase. Next I shall discuss here about the fourth one. Fourth one we have is post-ovulatory phase or secretory phase or luteal phase. Okay, now when ovulation takes place, after that the remaining parts of the Graafian follicle transforms as a corpus luteum. Okay, this I have discussed while I was discussing about the structure of the ovary. The remaining parts of the Graafian follicle will be like this. It will be carrying an ovum will be released out. Now what will be left? Only outer part. Okay, ovum is outside here, it has been entered into the fallopian tube. Now what part is left out? For that we call it as corpus luteum. The remaining parts of a Graafian follicle transforms as a corpus luteum. Okay, now this corpus luteum, it will secrete a large amount of corpus luteum, it is going to secrete large amount of progesterone. What is progesterone? It is a hormone. Okay, the corpus luteum is going to secrete large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of what? For maintenance of endometrium, right? Corpus luteum secretes large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of endometrium. This endometrium is important for implantation. What is this implantation? I shall discuss further, and other events which is used in pregnancy. Okay, so progesterone is secreted by what? It is secreted by corpus luteum. Corpus luteum is formed from what? After ovulation, the leftover part of the Graafian follicle is getting transformed into corpus luteum. This corpus luteum will secrete a hormone called as progesterone. This progesterone is helpful for maintaining the endometrium, and this endometrium is useful for implantation, and that after implantation only pregnancy is confirmed. Okay, right. Now this menstruation cycle, what we have discussed till now, starting from the first phase, menstrual flow, menstrual phase, follicular phase, then comes the ovulatory phase, and last one is post ovulatory phase. In these phases, menstrual flow, when menstrual flow takes place, when there is a menstrual flow, okay, then there is no pregnancy. If there is no no menstrual flow, then there are chances of pregnancy. Okay, when menstrual cycle is getting skipped, menstrual cycle will get skipped for 1 month, for the first month, then there are the chances of pregnancy. But when this menstrual flow does not take place, when there is a fertilization, if fertilization took place, fertilization is what? The product, the sperm and ova, when they meet together and get fertilized, then menstrual flow does not take place, which means then menstrual cycle will get stopped. So if it gets stopped, it is an indicative of pregnancy, but always it is not possible as an indication of pregnancy, as you find in your textbook. Okay, in your textbook you have here, menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized, right? If the released ovum is not fertilized, then only menstruation takes place. Menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. No menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. Is it? It can be, maybe, it is not sure, may be indicative of pregnancy. However, it may be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, etc. Okay, because of some other reasons also, sometimes few of the women, they are not showing menstruation for 1 month, or sometimes it will be get delayed from that particular date. Okay, why it will be delayed? It might be because of unhealthy stress or some other conditions, poor health conditions. It might be that, or if it has been fertilized, if sperm has meet with the ova, if it has been fertilized, then menstrual cycle won't take place, right? If there is a pregnancy, menstrual cycle will get stopped till the pregnancy period is getting completed. Fine. With this, we have one more, menopause. Menopause is what? Menstrual cycle ceases around at 50 years of age. Menstrual cycle will get stopped. Ceases means stop, pause. Okay, so menstrual cycle is getting stopped around 50 years of age of a woman. We call it as menopause, right? So we can get what is menarche, what is menopause. Menarche is what? The first menstruation at puberty, we call it as menarche. Menopause is what? Menopause. Pause means stop. Okay, so menstrual cycle ceases around 50 years of age, we call it as menopause. What is menstrual cycle? What is ovulation? On which day ovulation takes place? Which hormone is responsible for ovulation? This kind of questions we have got many a times. Okay, menstrual cycle is very easy. Please do understand, and hope you will be able to write about it and the hormones involved in that. Even if we go through the structure of female reproductive system, if you find in your textbook here, this was the endometrium, right? This endometrium is made up of blood vessels and tissues. The blood vessels and tissues will broke down and released out. As they broke down and released out, we call it as menstrual phase. Okay, in the follicular phase, what happens? And it will be broke down in menstrual phase. Then in the follicular phase, this will start to regenerate. Regeneration takes place, and in the ovary, what happens? That follicular development takes place. Okay, and then there is a secretion of hormones. Ovulation takes place. If it is reaching here ova, then if it is getting fertilized, then endometrium will be retained so that it can undergo implantation. Anyhow, about implantation and further I shall discuss in my next video. Now this is about the menstrual cycle. If you have any doubts, any queries, please comment it in the comment box so that I can solve your problems, I can solve your questions. If you like my channel, please subscribe, like and share, and hit the bell icon. So, okay guys, we shall meet in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy.